Hello everyone, and welcome to my live presentation on C# generics. This is my third time going live on LinkedIn, and I'm excited to dive deeper into some of the more advanced topics in C#. Today we will be exploring generics, how they work, and why they are such a powerful tool for creating flexible and reusable code. Let's get started. Okay, here is a quick overview of what we will be covering today. First, we will introduce what generics are and why they matter. We will then dive into constraints, generics methods, and interfaces. After that, we will take a look at some more advanced topics like covariance and contravariance. Finally, we will compare C# generics with C++ templates and wrap things up with some live coding in Visual Studio Online. Let's jump right into our first topic. What are generics? Let's start with a key feature of C# generics. Generics allow us to write code that can work with any data types without specifying the exact type in advance. Think of its blueprint that can adapt to different types, whether it's int, a string, or even complex types. Here is a simple example of a generic list. Generics bring several key benefits. First, they give us type safety by catching error at compile time. And second, they promote code reusability. One generic method or class can handle various data types. And finally, they enhance performance by reducing the need for boxing and unboxing, which is especially important with value types. Okay, sometimes we want to restrict what type can be used with a generic. This is where constraints come in. For example, we can specify that a type must be a value type, a reference type, or even inherit from a specific base class. Here is a simple example where we restrict the generic type to only value types. Now let's talk about generic methods. These are methods that are independent of the class or interface they belong to. For example, this method, findMax, works with any type that implements comparable, so it can compare integer, string, or custom objects. Why use generic methods? They allow us to write methods that can work with different types, enhancing code reusability. At the same time, they maintain type safety and flexibility, and no need for overloading multiple methods for different types. And generic interfaces allow us to build more flexible system by abstracting the type to be used. For instance, iRepository could represent a data repository for any type, such as customer, products, or orders. Okay, now let's compare a C# generics with C++ templates. Both of them are used to write flexible code, but they work differently. C# generics are type checked at compile time and use the same intermediate language for all types. In contrast, C++ templates substitute types at compile time, generating different code for each type, which can lead to code bloat. Additionally, C# allows us to place a constraint on type parameters, something C++ doesn't offer natively. And covariance and contravariance are more advanced concepts within generics. Covariance allows us to use a more derived type than what was specified, while contravariance lets us use a more general type. These concepts come in handy when working with collections and delegates. Okay, that wraps up our conversation on generics. type constraint and different with C++ templates. We are going to use Visual Studio Online, and you can follow along with me in real time as we explore this concept in action. So let me open my Visual Studio. Let's create a new project. I select console app. I rename it to step 3. The solution already exists. Yes. Okay, here is our new project. In this project, I want to create a repository class that can save and store different data types in this repository. First of all, I want to limit this class just to accept employee type. And after that, we will see how can we change this class to a generic class, and how can we use generic class, and how can we create subclass for this generic class, and other topics that we have covered. Okay, for the first, let me close it. Okay, let me delete all this folder that I have created before. Okay, I want to first create a new folder. I want to call it entities. And in this entities folder, I want to create my classes. First, I want to create an employee class. Add this class. Okay, in this employee class, first of all, let's change this internal to a public class. And then in the body, let's insert a property for our class. For example, I want to insert a first name and ID for my employees. Let's define public, for example, yes, int ID, and public string first name. And I want to define override to a string method. And let's, instead of using this expression, use expression body. Let's have ID and our first name. Okay, we have created our first class. And now I want to create another folder. Sorry, I want to call it repository. Okay, here I want to change this property, and I want to add my question mark, because when I do this, C# can understand this property cannot be null. And when user want to define this class and fill this property, C# force him or her to fill this field. After that, let's go to repository folder and create another class. Okay, let's create repository. Employee repository. Okay, let's press Ctrl dot to remove unnecessary using, and let's change it internal to public class. Okay, in this repository, I want to create a list that is a list of employees, and I want to create a method that is an add method to add different employees to our list. So first of all, let's create private read-only list of employee type. Let's initialize it um, with new. Ah, I forgot to choose a name for it. Let's call it employee. And then I want to create an add method. So public void add, and it has one parameters that it's employee type. Let's call it item. And here I want to add this employee to the list. And after that, I want to create another method that its name is save. It doesn't have any parameters. We just want to log our employees. So let's create for each loop to loop through all our employees in this list. Okay, let's remove it because after that I want to change it to generic class. Let's use cw to console.writeLine and log item. Okay, we have created our repository too. Let's go to program, file, and in our main method, see how can we use this class. And let's create a variable, employee repository, and initialize it with new employee class. And after that, access to our method, and let's add some employees. We have to take new object of employee type. Let's remove these entities and let's set first name. Okay, first, let me use let's set our first name to, for example, Poly, and I want to copy this line and add another employee with, for example, Raity name, and another employee with example Sam. And after that, I want to call save method to see all items and use console read line because the user should press the enter to exit application. And let's run our application. Yeah, as you can see, these 3 employees are printed and we can see their name with the employee ID. Now in this class, now we can just use employee type because we mentioned it here and some other places. And if, for example, we want to store an organization, for example, ID and name with the same add method and save method, we have to create another repository. And for solve this problem, we can use another types like organization or another types, we can we can change this class to a generic class. So for that, first I want to change its name to a generic class and rename file. Okay, and for define a generic class, we have to use type T, and let's remove this exact type and use T instead. And let's change this name, Control RR. For example, item list. And here we should remove this type and use T for that. Okay, as you can see, we have created a generic class now, and we can use any data types with this class. So let's define another class. Let's go here, copy this, let's change it to organization. Let's move to another C# file. Okay, it generates our organization class for us, and we have ID, property, and let's first just it has name, and also here we don't have employee anymore, just ID. Okay, let's save it. And now let's go to our program CS file. As you can see here, we have an error because we changed this repository to a generic class, and we have changed its name. Besides this error, we have also an error because we changed this repository to a generic repository, and for that we should mention the type. Here we use employee. Yeah, as you can see, the error is gone, and we have generated another organization class. So here I want to define another variable that I want to call it organization repository, and let's initialize it. Yeah, and now I gave organization type to our class instead of employee type. As you can see, we can give all data types to this class because now it is converted to a generic class instead of our previous class. So we can access to its method, organization repository, add method, and now we can give object of organization, and let's fill the name property, for example, Apple. Let's copy this line to Harvard. Let's call organization repository save method to see the items. Okay, let's run our application. No, the name team name doesn't. Okay. As you can see, these three employees are printed, and these two organization ID and name are printed too. And the last thing that I want to cover is to create a subclass for our generic repository. let's create another class, public class. Let's use this name. I want to add remove method in this subclass. That is that this class inherits a generic repository. Okay. In this class, I want to add remove method that has item with T type, and in this I want, okay, let's change this private to protected. That this subclass can access to its property, and let's use it. Okay, item list. Okay, remove this item from our item list. Now you can see if I open program.cs file, if we change this to our new class, you can see we have access to the remove method. Yeah, as you can see, we can use this remove method too. And the last thing I want to talk about is constraints. Sometimes you don't want your user, let me tell it in this way. Sometimes you just want to set a limitation for your user or somebody that's use your application that just use a specific types. For example, I don't want, for example, let me show you. Okay. Here, if you want to set a limitation to the T, for example, you want to set just use employee type, and organization type is not allow here. For that, you can use where keyword T, and you can mention employee. And here, when we use this, if we go to program.cs file, we can see we got an error because we change this generic class and set the limitation to it. And for that, we cannot allow, we cannot use organization type for our class. And because of that, we got an error. But if we remove this part and save it, okay, yeah, our error is gone. And that's it. And that was my presentation. Thank you all for your time and your attention. I appreciate it, and I hope you find this information valuable. Have a great day. Bye.